Welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the main card fights for UFC Fight Night on ESPN Plus, Iaquinta versus Cowboy. But before I get into the main card fight predictions, I just want to let y'all know that I'll be doing another $20 cash prize. And if you want the instructions for how to get involved with that, then just check the description below on this video right here, and it will tell you roughly everything you need to know for entering for a chance to, or what you need to do for a chance at that $20. But without further ado, let's get to our main card fight predictions. So in our first fight, we have in the middleweight division, Marc-Andre Barriault versus Andrew Sanchez. So decent matchup right here. You got a debut in Barriault versus Andrew Sanchez, like a tough winner. When I look at Barriault, I'm really just not impressed. His striking looks about average, nothing all that phenomenal. No phenom striker, no like he's gonna make no splash in the UFC. Grappling doesn't look all that great, and I see bad tendencies in him that make him doesn't really match up that well against Andrew Sanchez. He has a bad tendency to put his back against the cage. He never fought a wrestler even close to the level of Andrew Sanchez, or a grappler even close to the level of Andrew Sanchez, and that's a bad tendency when you're going up against a grappler, especially a well-rounded, solid grappler who's now more than got their feet wet inside the octagon. I think Andrew Sanchez, this should be his fight to win. We look at most of his losses just because he blew his wad, just over trying to go crazy for the finish and just gassed himself out and got finished. But Andrew Sanchez, this fight is a smart fight. Takes advantage of his Barriault's bad tendency to put his back in the cage, get some easy takedowns off the cage. Just focus on control and just fighting your fight without overcommitting or trying to rush a finish. This should be his fight to win all day. And I think that's what he's gonna do. I think he's learned from those losses. He's gonna go out there, fight a smart, composed fight, not rush the finish. But if it does come, he's gonna take advantage of it. He's not gonna try to look and search for the knockout, try to just try to force the knockout or force the finish, force anything. And just fight a smart fight, get those easy takedowns, focus on some control, and just grind out the UFC debutant, or the newcomer to the UFC. So in this fight, I got Andrew Sanchez via decision. Now on to our next fight, we have in the heavyweight division, Walt Harris versus Sergey Spivak. So you got a newcomer to the UFC in this fight right here with Sergey Spivak. He has a solid technique, some solid skills, a lot of potential around him. I just think he hasn't really fought the best competition. Yes, he fought Tony Lopez and beat him. He fought Travis Futon and beat him. But both of those guys are more than over the hill. It's not like they were ever the true cream of the crop. True cream of the crop in MMA. Tony Lopez was the dude and king of the cage. He was a heavyweight champion, light heavyweight champion, several times. And pretty much almost everyone who was coming up in the light heavyweight and heavyweight divisions had fought him at one time. Even some middleweights had fought him. A lot of middleweights had a lot of the middleweights had fought him before they got to the UFC. But yeah, fought Tony Lopez. But at that time, Tony Lopez was already 44, and he fought Travis Futon, who's the most winning fighter in MMA history. But that's outside the UFC, fighting dudes for bus money and stuff in bars and strip clubs. So, but he's still a solid fighter. And like I said, solid names on his record. Those two are the most solid names on his record. But like I said, they're over the hill. 44-year-old Tony Lopez, Travis Futon, and like I said, beating these old dudes up. Not the most impressed by what he brought there. I think he hasn't really fought a guy that's going to hit him back, and Walt Harris is more than going to hit him back, and he has some phenomenal power. Sergey seemed like he had some power, but if he couldn't even really land all these consecutive, undefended shots against these old guys and couldn't put them away, then what's he going to do against a young guy? I don't really know. But really, I'm just going to get to the point. I think Walt Harris just has fought better competition. He's got his feet wet, shown better skill set, and shown it against, least credible competition, whereas Spivak, like I said, he's a young up-and-coming fighter. I just haven't seen enough from him. And once he gets hit, it's going to be a whole different ball game. He's not going to be ready for it yet, especially jumping in it from having this easy walkover competition to jumping up to this level. I think once he gets hit and started getting into a real fight, he's really not going to be ready for it just yet. It's still going to put up a good fight. But once the fight gets real, once it gets as real as it gets, I think Spivak's not going to be ready for it. I think Walt Harris puts him away in the second round. So in this fight, I got a Walt Harris via second round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the bantamweight division, Brad Katona versus Merab Dvalishvili. So interesting matchup here. You got Brad Katona looking solid grappling, striking coming along real nice. Then you got Merab Dvalishvili, who's finally starting, I guess, he finally got his win in the UFC, or at least one win in the UFC. So he's finally, I guess, showing that he can win in the UFC. Skills has always been there, has phenomenal wrestling, phenomenal conditioning, phenomenal tenacity. And I think that's really what's going to come down in this fight. I think Brad Katona's striking is coming along, but still, at this point, it's about even on the striking. I think what really comes down is the grappling. I think Dvalishvili is just the more tenacious grappler in this fight. And I think he's just going to outwork Brad Katona. Like, I think Brad Katona certainly has a high ceiling to get better. But at this given point, I think Dvalishvili's grappling, his tenacity with his grappling is going to be at the edge to fight for him. It'll be a competitive fight. And as far as decision and winning in general, it hasn't really been the best for Dvalishvili. But I think he just, like I said, his tenacity and his work with his wrestling grind is going to win him this fight in a very close, gritty fight. So in this fight, I got Merab Dvalishvili via decision. Now on to our next fight we have in the featherweight division, Cub Swanson versus Shane Burgos. So we have a real barn burner right here. You got Cub Swanson like he's like a 3-fight losing streak, hasn't really won in a while, suffered some bad losses. You got Shane Burgos, suffered a loss, then came back from it and trying to get back on the streak. So interesting fight right here. You got Shane Burgos, like that's one of the new blood, new contenders. You got Cub Swanson, one of the old guard, a true veteran of the sport. But how do they match up? I know a lot of people lean to Shane Burgos because like he's a new, like I guess the fresh blood, the current era, and Cub Swanson like that old vet, and he's looking like he's on a losing streak. But I think actually this fight matches up well for Cub Swanson because with Shane Burgos' style, they both have solid boxing. But with Shane Burgos' style of boxing and his style of striking, it's really not the best defensive type of style. It's a style where he kind of rolls with punches. He doesn't take the big punches, but he kind of rolls with the weaker strikes, gets in on the inside and try to, just beat, just go to your body, drain your gas tank, lower your arms, and come up top for the hooks to the head. It's like hooks your body, then hooks to the head. That's kind of his whole style. Get in on the inside, land body shot, then come up top and try to drop you. But against somebody like Cub Swanson, he's not that typical striker or MMA striker where you can just expect he's gonna 1-2 this or a weak jab or weak this and this kind of this passable striking. Cub Swanson is one of the best strikers or one of the best boxers in all of MMA, and he's not predictable. You never know what's coming from him. And for a guy like Shane Burgos who is so accepting to take shots, that's not the best style to go against Cub Swanson. Because you might think he's coming with this, then he comes with overhand. You might think he's coming with overhand, he comes with a spinning heel kick. He has a stiff jab of his own. He's always moving hard to get very very slick, very sleek with his striking, very clean, crafty. And I think Cub Swanson's gonna take advantage of those openings in Shane Burgos. Shane Burgos gonna think something lights coming or something else coming. He's gonna get hit with something that he didn't even think was coming, like something. He's gonna think he's gonna get hit with some like a water hose. He's gonna get hit with a kitchen sink. It's just like. That's just what's going to be. And as far as grappling, Cub Swanson grappling just much better than Shane Burgos. That might be an avenue he could take to mixing it or give Shane Burgos some different looks. Shane Burgos certainly no slouch in the grappling either, but I think Cub Swanson just a much better grappler. So really Shane Burgos, one avenue in this fight is, pretty much do what he does. Walk him down, land big shots, and maybe take his head off. That's really his only path to victory. Whereas Cub Swanson has tons of paths to victory. I think the savvy veteran is just going to, school not the new guy, but school pretty much the veteran's gonna school the current blood. That's what I'm saying. The wild veteran's the savvy veteran's gonna school the new guy, the current guy. I think Cub Swanson eventually catches him with something in the third round after give him a bunch of different looks and like this outworking him, outsmarting him, and outcrafting him. And I think eventually goes for the kill in the third round, gets it, and stops Shane Burgos in the third round. So in this fight, I got Cub Swanson via third round TKO. Now on to our co-main event, we have in the middleweight division, Derek Brunson versus Elias Theodorou. So you got a former top 10 middleweight in Derek Brunson versus a long-time top 15 middleweight in Elias Theodorou. So a lot of stakes on the line for this fight. Definitely not no number one contender fight or no fight that's going to put any of them in the top 10, but still a lot on the line and a lot to be lost if either man win. So it's more a fight where a lot can be lost than a lot could be won. It's really just a fight to hold your position in the division. So still a lot at stake. But how I see this fighting get favor is Derek Brunson. Like, as far as style, Derek Brunson's the better wrestler, the better grappler. Striking wise, you might say Theodorou was a little bit better, might say it, but really I say about even overall as far as striking goes. Derek Brunson definitely has the more finishing ability, so I think that's what's going to be more favored in this fight, the ability to finish on the feet, because he has that power in that right hand, very explosive, very athletic, very unorthodox with his, his striking technique, but very effective with it. Elias Theodorou more so a point fighter. He kind of runs. His whole point is playing tag with his feet. He runs and flails, kicks around, not a lot of power on those kicks, but really just playing keep away with his chin and throwing flaily kicks and tagging you with those kicks and running away. That's his whole style. He does have some decent grappling, But like I said, Derek Brunson's the wrestler and will have the much better grappling in this fight. I think he also has the better cardio and conditioning for wrestling. As we've seen in the past when Theodorou got in these grappling exchanges, that he did well at the start, but as the fight went on, he started to, mouth breathe. Cardio started started to give out on him. And I think one of the fights where he mentioned his cardio, how good it was, how much emphasis he put on it. That was a fight he lost due to attrition, and I think that was against Brad Tavares a couple years back. So basically I think Brunson could beat him just by everywhere. I think the whole style, Derek Brunson's whole approach to this fight is he's gonna work him in the first round with wrestle him, maybe pin him against the cage. At times, go for some takedowns. Just make a lot of Theodorou have to work, which will take a lot of his energy, take away a lot of his legs. Then eventually cut the cage off, like the first round. Then the second round will be more about cutting the cage off and landing that big right hand and putting Theodorou away. So wear him out in the first round with wrestling and grappling, just making him work. The second round, flip the switch, go for the kill, cut him off, then knock him out with that right hand. And I think that's what he's going to do. That's my prediction for this fight. So in this fight, I got Derek Brunson via second round TKO. Now to our main event, we have in the lightweight division, Iaquinta versus Donald Cowboy Cerrone. So, interesting fight right here. This is not a number one. It's not a number one contender fight, but it certainly could be the number 2 option contender fight. So it's a good fight right here. A lot on the line. Both guys looking, in a very good position. Like Iaquinta finally getting the respect he deserves in the weight class after beating Kevin Lee, and Cerrone is regaining steam. And with this fight, he could be right in that picture once again after leaving the lightweight division for like 2 or 3 years. Just by winning this fight, he's right there in the title picture, just like that. So this is a very big fight for both guys. I think a lot of people are leaning to Iaquinta in this fight because we see that Cerrone lost to boxers, and Iaquinta is a pretty solid boxer. But I actually don't think it's the case as far as style-wise. When you look at most of the guys that Cerrone has lost to, they had to fight longer and rangier, like taller than him. Like Nate Diaz, about his height, maybe taller, maybe a little bit shorter. So his range is not the same as maybe a guy like Iaquinta, who, though he's not short, he kind of fights in a kind of squatty type of stance and still going to give up a couple inches of height to Cerrone. Like, whereas pretty much Nate Diaz could box Cerrone up from boxing range and not to worry about no little check knees, no kicks. He could be right in that boxing range and just tag him up. Whereas Aiquinta has kind of working to get an inside, so it's not the same. A guy like Leon Edwards, who's taller than Cerrone, faster than Cerrone, bigger than Cerrone, stronger than Cerrone, and can defend Cerrone's takedown and not allow Cerrone to mix in the grappling. Those guys can exploit different things against Cerrone. Or you can say like a guy like Jorge Masvidal, who's maybe closer to Aiquinta. I'm not saying in style-wise, but like he boxes height-wise, he's only like 1 inch taller than Aiquinta. But Jorge Masvidal doesn't fight like squat down. He fights long and upright. So his punches and his strikes are longer. They flow more. Whereas Aiquinta does have some flow to his strikes, but he kind of fights squatty. I think it maybe because maybe he's always trying to be positioned to defend takedowns or something, or maybe he wants to have more power on his strikes, but he kind of fights very hunched over a lot of times, leaning like pretty much over his knee a lot of times. So he's always kind of hunched over, kind of a little bit square a bit. And I think that's really the best style to go against Cerrone. That's especially leaning heavily on your lead leg, and Cerrone having pretty much some of the best kicks in the sport, in some of the sport's history, especially knowing when to throw the kicks. Like, I think it could end up a lot like the Eddie Alvarez fight where he chewed up Eddie Alvarez's lead leg, and Eddie Alvarez just wasn't ready for that. I think, and Aiquinta really hasn't fought anybody that even attempted to chew his lead leg up. So it's going to be a fresh experience for him once he gets that leg started. Cerrone starts attacking that lead leg. And then when Aiquinta, like I said, he's going to need to commit to get in the inside, where a lot of other guys can fight from range. Aiquinta's going to need to get in the inside against Cerrone. And, you know, Cerrone, when he's fighting these shorter guys, he can just like lift that knee up and pretty much block their pathway, like he did against Hernandez, like he did against Eddie Alvarez. When they're trying to come on the inside, he could just pretty much place that knee up and just knee him in the chest, knee him in the stomach, and start opening up at his strikes once he counters them with those knees. I think he could do that all day against Aiquinta. Well, not all day, but I think he could do it effectively against Aiquinta. But I do think Aiquinta, like, his boxing will be an issue. He's no easy fight by any margin. This will be a tough fight. It's still, in my opinion, is a pick'em. But like I said, I think style-wise, I think it favors Cerrone. And also, Cerrone, I say, has the advantage in the grappling offensively. Like, as far as offensive takedowns, he has the advantage. I think last person Aiquinta took down was like, Joe Lozon 5 years ago. I think he only had about 3 or 4 takedowns in his whole UFC career, where Cerrone has about over 20 or something like in his combined UFC and WEC career, and over credible fighters. Experience definitely largely in Cerrone's favor. But yeah, I just really think that Cerrone's going to mix in takedowns, really mixing the whole game. This is, make pretty much use his experience to get the win over Aiquinta. He's going to attack that lead leg, go for the takedowns, make Aiquinta have to lower his stance, which is going to make his striking maybe a little bit less effective. Not take some range off his strikes because he's going to mix in the takedowns, so make Aiquinta have to worry about the takedowns. Then once Aiquinta's worried about the takedowns, chew the leg up, or he could do in the reverse. He could chew the leg up and make Aiquinta maybe try to stand more upright, which will open up takedowns. Cerrone has some sick ground and pound. Cerrone has some sharp elbows. His grappling is no slouch on the feet. I mean, on the with top or bottom. And as far as grappling, I guess Cerrone the managing the grappling, striking about even, but stylistically wise, is leaning to Cerrone. Like I said, I think gonna mix his game up, chew the leg up, go for takedowns, make Aiquinta to worry about a lot of different things, and then competitive fight. But I think the wear and tear on Aiquinta's body is going to start to show in like around the late second round, third round. I think he gets him out in the third. So in this fight, I got Donald Cerrone via third round TKO. And that concludes my fight predictions for the main card of UFC Fight Night on ESPN Plus, Aiquinta versus Cowboy. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and come back for more videos. Peace.